Okay, so get ready for a deep dive, because today we're tackling a clash of absolute titans.
Yeah.
Two legendary figures, you know them, but maybe not like this. Odysseus
Oh, yeah.
versus Moses.
Uh-huh.
This is about more than just their stories, though. It's about their journeys and how those journeys, how those journeys represent totally different kind of approaches to life,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. This is a study in contrast. You said it. On one hand, Odysseus, the guy, relies on his wit.
Yeah.
A strategic mind overcomes impossible odds. Like, if anyone represents human resilience, the will to survive, it's this guy.
And on the other hand, right, there's Moses,
Right.
chosen by, a higher power, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Guided by faith, by this belief in something way bigger than himself.
Mm-hmm.
And their journeys are obviously so different, like contextually, but they both kind of get at these universal human experiences we all deal with.
And that's what makes this whole, like, hypothetical encounter so interesting. Like, picture this. A totally desolate no man's land. You got this crazy sea storm clashing with the stillness of the desert.
Whoa.
And it's here, in this crazy setting, that Odysseus, totally worn out from years at sea, he runs into Moses, leading his people through the wilderness.
It's almost as if the setting itself, this no man's land, it's like another character in the story.
Yeah.
Like this desolate landscape caught between the fury of the storm and then the oppressive heat of the desert. Like, it's reflecting their internal struggles, right?
100%. Think about Odysseus for a second. This is a guy, right? He spent years battling, mythical creatures. Yeah. Gods. Facing their wrath, all just to get home. He's the ultimate survivor, master strategist. This is someone who believes in making his own path, even if it means bending the rules a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then on the flip side, you have Moses.
Mm-hmm.
He's tasked with guiding an entire nation.
An entire nation.
Based on faith, on the promise of a land he's never even seen.
Oh.
Imagine that. Imagine the weight of that responsibility,
Right.
to constantly have to trust in something beyond what you can actually see, what you can touch.
And that's where this hypothetical encounter gets really interesting, because you got these two different worldviews, totally different, colliding in this empty landscape.
Makes it true.
Odysseus, the way he is focused on survival, on overcoming any obstacle in front of him, he might just see Moses as another challenge to overcome.
I mean, it makes you wonder, right? How would Odysseus, this guy, outsmarted gods and monsters?
Oh, no.
How would he approach Moses? Would he use his clever words, his ability to strategize, to manipulate?
It's possible, totally. But then you got to think, how would Moses, who's spoken directly to the divine, how do you react to Odysseus trying to trick him? Would he see it as like a test of his faith, a chance to show the power of trusting in a higher purpose?
This is deep, man. This isn't just some random meeting. This is like a clash of ideologies, like this philosophical debate as old as time itself.
Right.
Do we rely on our own human ingenuity, our ability to outsmart, to manipulate, to get what we want, to survive, like Odysseus?
Or do we find strength in surrender? You know, aligning ourselves with something bigger than us, trusting in the plan, even if we don't get it, like Moses.
Man, those are some tough questions, and there are no easy answers.
Yep.
But as we go further into their potential interactions here, I want everyone listening to really think.
Yeah.
Which journey speaks to you more? And when survival and faith go head to head, where do you find yourself lining up?
So we left off with Odysseus and Moses, right? Meeting in this no man's land, their journeys, like their whole approach to life on a crash course.
It's got to make you think. Like Odysseus, he's always strategizing.
Right.
He might just see Moses as another obstacle to overcome.
Right.
I mean, this is the guy who convinced a Cyclops he was a nobody, escaped certain death.
Exactly. Resourceful, cunning, always a plan up his sleeve. Always. Easy to imagine him trying to negotiate with Moses, maybe even bargain, like he's done with gods and monsters before.
But would that work with Moses, do you think? I mean, this is someone who, if we're following the scriptures here, parted seas, brought plagues down on entire nations at God's command,
Right.
Like human trickery. It might not really work on this guy.
That's the thing. It's like, imagine them talking. Odysseus, smooth talker, appeals to Moses' sense of compassion, maybe plays up all the hardship he's been through, just trying to get back home.
And Moses just listening patiently, but ultimately unmoved by it all, right?
Right.
Because his mission isn't about earthly things. It's about a divine calling, a promise made to his people by, a power beyond human understanding.
And this is where you see that contrast, I think, how they approach hardship.
Totally.
Odysseus, his whole journey, right, relied on his own cleverness, his own strength to overcome everything. bends the rules, manipulates things, always trying to like control his own destiny.
Yeah, even challenges the gods themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it, Poseidon, all that.
Oh, totally.
Years at sea because of it. Odysseus is like, he embodies that human need to be in control, to overcome anything, no matter how impossible, just by sheer will.
Yeah, whereas Moses, even though he has his own moments of doubt, of frustration, he surrenders to a power bigger than himself ultimately.
Yeah.
Accepts his role, a guide for his people, even when he doesn't know the way forward. His strength, it's in the trust, the faith, and a plan he doesn't fully grasp.
So you've got these two figures, both leaders, both faced incredible things, but fundamentally different in how they deal with the world, right?
Totally.
Odysseus, the strategist, the manipulator, always working things to go his way.
Right.
And Moses, the faithful servant, his strength comes from surrendering, trusting in a higher purpose.
And yet, they don't have to be enemies.
No.
What if instead of clashing, they find this grudging respect, sharing stories of their journeys?
Okay, yeah.
Odysseus, maybe he sees how deep Moses' faith is, a faith that survived way worse than anything he's dealt with.
And Moses, he sees Odysseus like the definition of resilience, never giving up, even when things are stacked against him, right?
It's like a reminder that even when people seem totally opposite, they can find common ground. In that shared humanity, just knowing that they're both on this tough, crazy journey,
Totally.
And as they're talking, the storm, the one that's been raging this whole time, it starts to die down.
Oh, wow.
Like even nature's acknowledging this change, this quiet moment.
Yeah, it's like a visual representation of the calm settling over Odysseus.
Right.
He doesn't see Moses as an enemy anymore, but like a guide.
Right.
Someone who's found a different way to deal with all the trials and pain, a way that isn't about being clever or tricking people, but surrendering, trusting. Doesn't mean Odysseus gives up on going home, though, right?
No, not at all.
He's still driven to see his family, get his kingdom back.
But meeting Moses, it's like planting a seed, Realizing that maybe real peace isn't in getting what you want, but in the journey itself. Learning to let go, to trust in something bigger.
That must be tough for a guy like Odysseus.
Oh, for sure.
So what happens? Does he even answer the question? That question, it just feels like a turning point in all this.
It really is. So picture this. Moses can sense what Odysseus is going through, right? And he looks at him. I mean, this is a look that's seen it all, the good, the bad, the divine. And he asks, in all your battles, all your victories, all that cleverness, have you ever truly found peace?
Man, it's such a simple question, but so powerful,
Right.
Not an attack, not a judgment, just asking honestly. And it just cuts right through Odysseus' defenses.
It's a question we can all relate to, even now. We're always told, achieve, conquer, go after your goals no matter what. But when do we ever stop and think, what's it all for? Have we actually found any peace in all the striving?
And for Odysseus, this guy, his whole thing is outsmarting everyone, bending the world to his will. This question, this has got to be messing with him, right?
Think about it. His journey home, danger, loss, constant struggle, escape monsters, the ocean, everything, all for one thing, getting back to Ithaca.
Mm-hmm.
But has he ever thought, what then? What's waiting for him? Will being home actually bring him peace? Or is it just another stop in this endless cycle of wanting more?
So what does he do? A guy like that, how do you answer something you can't outsmart?
I think for the first time in a long time, Odysseus just listens, really hears the question, considers maybe, just maybe, he's been so focused on surviving, he's missed out on a different kind of happiness, I guess.
And get this, the storm, the one that's been going crazy this whole time, it starts to calm down.
It's like nature itself is taking a breath, acknowledging this moment, this quiet reflection.
You can practically see the calm washing over Odysseus. Moses isn't an opponent anymore, but like a mentor almost.
Right.
Someone showing him there's another way to deal with life's trials. Not by being the smartest guy in the room, but through surrender, trust. But that doesn't mean Odysseus gives up on home, right?
No, not at all.
He still wants his family, his kingdom.
But meeting Moses, it's like something changed inside him. He realizes maybe real peace isn't in the destination, but the journey. Learning to trust, to surrender to something bigger.
So what happens? Does Odysseus become a believer?
Well, we don't know for sure. These are legendary figures, their encounter. It's about exploring these big ideas,
Right.
But I think Odysseus walks away different. He's still headed for Ithaca, but there's this new understanding, maybe, of faith, not as a means to an end, but as a way of life.
And maybe that's the point of it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all like Odysseus in a way, always striving, trying to control everything. But maybe real peace, real fulfillment, it comes from letting go, trusting in something beyond ourselves.
It's a tough thing to do. It takes a real shift in perspective.
It does. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think that's something to think about. What would it look like for you to embrace that surrender? Not as weakness, but as its own kind of strength.
Yeah.
How would it change your journey?